My cousin offered me a job when I was desperate. He paid me half what he promised and told everyone I was living off him. One day, in front of the whole family, he said, "You're lucky I even let you mop my floors." I quietly quit that day. But I didn't just walk away. I found a way to make sure he'd never. I never wanted to work for family. But after my life fell apart, I didn't have a lot of options. Last year, I moved back to Springfield, Missouri, after my divorce and after getting laid off from the factory where I worked for nearly a decade. It was like everything hit at once. Job gone, marriage over, savings drained. I didn't even have my own place anymore. I was 36 years old, living in my mom's basement, trying to figure out how to start over from scratch. I applied to over 50 jobs in a month. Nothing stuck, not even retail, and I didn't have the money to relocate or go back to school. So when my cousin Darren called me and offered work, I was in no position to say no. He ran a cleaning business, Elite Shine Pro Services. Catchy name. He bragged about how he built it from the ground up. Always talked like he was this self-made success. Said he had contracts with medical offices, office parks, small factories. Mostly janitorial and floor care stuff. It didn't sound fun, but it sounded like a paycheck. He told me, "I could use someone I trust. I'll start you at $900 a week. Cash. No taxes. It's easy money." At that point, I didn't care if it was cleaning toilets or scraping gum off sidewalks. $900 a week was more than I ever made in my old job. I was grateful. I told him that. I even cried after the call. But that was the last time I saw him as a generous guy. I showed up for my first day ready to go. He handed me a used mop, a bucket, and told me to meet him at a strip mall near Battlefield Road. We had 3 storefronts to clean an insurance office, a tax place, and a nail salon. It was over 90 degrees that day. The AC was broken in 2 of the buildings. I was sweating through my shirt in the first hour. He didn't help at all. He just sat in the van on his phone, blasting the radio and scrolling Instagram. 12 hours later, we finished up. I was exhausted, but I felt good. I figured I'd earned that $900. Friday came. He handed me an envelope. I opened it in the van. It had $450. I looked up confused. He saw my face and laughed. "Relax, man. Gotta see what you're worth first. That's just a trial week. You do good, we'll talk about full pay." That wasn't what he said on the phone. But I needed the money. So I nodded and kept my mouth shut. Every day started early. I'd get up at 5:30 a.m., meet Darren at the pickup point by 6:15, and we'd hit jobs until it was dark. Office buildings, gas stations, dental clinics, school buildings, even a couple sketchy massage parlors. Sometimes I cleaned solo while he handled business. Other times I worked with another guy named Luis who barely spoke English. We didn't even get proper safety gear. Half the time the bleach and ammonia fumes made my eyes burn. And Darren kept paying me the same, $450, sometimes less if business was slow. No benefits, no mileage, no raises, no breaks, and definitely no respect. When I brought it up, he got defensive. "You want to go back to living in your mom's basement? Then don't push it. I'm doing you a favor here." I should have quit then. But I didn't. I felt stuck. I told myself I could save up, get a used car, maybe get out of Springfield. I kept going. At first, I thought the rest of the family was proud of me for getting back on my feet. I came to Sunday dinners again. I showed up clean, polite, helpful. But people started making comments. My aunt told me, "You're lucky Darren looks out for you like he does." My cousin Stephanie joked, "So, you're like his assistant, right?" At first, I laughed it off. Then my Uncle Ray cornered me in the garage one night after dinner and said, "You know Darren's been telling everyone he saved your ass, right? That you were basically homeless and he gave you a job to keep you from begging." I felt like someone punched me in the gut. That wasn't just embarrassing, it was humiliating. I went home that night and stared at the ceiling for hours. I started thinking back to every time Darren made a passive comment like, "Don't make me regret giving you a shot," or "Remember who's keeping you afloat." He always said it like a joke. But it wasn't. He really believed I owed him everything. It all came to a head last Thanksgiving. Whole family gathered at my uncle's house. Big turkey dinner, all the cousins, kids running around, football on the TV. I tried to stay low-key. I wasn't in the mood for jokes. Darren showed up wearing some flashy coat, talking about how business was booming, bragging about new clients. said he might expand into commercial power washing. At one point, someone asked him, "So how do you keep up with all the jobs?" That's when he laughed, real smug, and said, "Easy. I've got this guy mopping floors like his life depends on it. He'd probably be panhandling if it weren't for me." Then he turned to me and added, "You're lucky I even let you mop my floors." People laughed. Not everyone, but enough. I looked around and realized not one person stood up for me. Not one. I went quiet after that. Didn't eat much. Just kept my head down. Drove home in silence. And the next morning I didn't show up to work. I didn't call. I didn't text. I just quit. But I wasn't done. I didn't want an apology. I wanted to destroy him. The setup started right away. I knew Darren's operation was sketchy. He didn't pay taxes. He didn't have insurance. He cut corners on jobs. He lied to clients. And I had receipts. I had text messages from when he promised me $900 a week. I had photos of broken equipment, expired chemicals, and dirty mop buckets. I had audio recordings from the van, where he bragged about skipping payroll taxes and dumping chemicals in parking lot drains. I remembered every client location, and which days we cut corners or skipped whole sections. I wrote everything down. Every violation, every lie, every illegal shortcut. I created an anonymous email and started contacting the Missouri Department of Labor, the IRS, the City Business Licensing Department, and the BBB. I wasn't vague. I gave names, addresses, dates, and attachments. Then I started hitting his client list. I emailed every business we worked for using a fake name like former employee or concerned local. Each message included evidence of skipped cleanings, photos of unsafe chemicals, a warning that their cleaning contractor may not be licensed or insured. Some ignored it. Some didn't. His biggest account, a medical facility, canceled within 2 weeks. Then a dentist office. Then a chiropractor. That's when it started hitting his wallet. I heard from Luis, who I kept in touch with, that Darren was losing his mind. Yelling at everyone. Late on payments. Offering clients huge discounts just to stay on board. Luis told me Darren had never paid him for overtime or injury time when he got chemical burns from a busted sprayer. I helped Luis write out a formal complaint to the labor board. I also sent tips to OSHA and the EPA, because Darren used to dump mop buckets into storm drains behind buildings. I made a burner Facebook and posted public reviews about his business. I created a fake Reddit thread asking, "Is Elite Shine Pro Services legit or shady?" and let the internet eat it up. By January, he had less than half his client base. By March, he was being audited. And I was just getting started. By March, Darren was unraveling. I didn't even need to see him to know it. Word got around fast in our town. Springfield isn't big and bad business spreads quick. Luis told me Darren laid off 2 guys. Then he started doing the cleaning himself. But he wasn't built for it. The guy couldn't even keep his own apartment clean, let alone scrub down medical offices. That's when I decided to take it further. There was this local Facebook group for business owners in Springfield. I joined it under a fake account, Troy McLean. Profile picture was a stock photo of some bearded guy in a flannel. One day, Darren posted in the group asking if anyone needed commercial cleaning. He was desperate. I commented under it, warning to anyone hiring this guy, he uses underpaid labor, no insurance, and has an open OSHA investigation. Look into it. It got 32 likes and 14 replies. Another local business owner commented, "We used them. Didn't even finish half the job." Someone else said, "He showed up high and left trash behind." He tried defending himself, saying haters gonna hate. But it didn't land. A day later, the post was gone. That's when I knew his reputation was shot. I didn't expect what came next. He showed up at my mom's house. I was in the basement when I heard the knock. She came downstairs, looking annoyed. "It's Darren," she said. "He says he just wants to talk." I went up, opened the door. He looked like hell. Greasy hair, bags under his eyes, wearing a coat that looked like it hadn't been washed in a month. "You happy?" he said. No hello, no smile. Just straight to it. "You really that bitter, man?" I said nothing. He kept going. "You couldn't just quit like a man? You had to go and destroy me? After everything I did for you?" I finally said, "You mean paying me half what you promised, then humiliating me in front of the whole family?" He scoffed. "I gave you work. You think you're better than me now?" I just said, "You're the one who told me I was lucky to mop your floors." He stared at me for a second, then said, "You better watch yourself. You don't know who you're messing with." He walked off, but I wasn't scared. A week later, I got called into a meeting at my new job. My manager sat me down and showed me an anonymous complaint. Someone claimed I used to steal from clients, that I was violent on the job and had a record. None of it was true, but it looked serious. I asked to see the full email. It was from an account called cleanbistruth@gmail.com. I recognized the way it was written. It was Darren. No doubt in my mind. Luckily, my boss trusted me. He knew my work ethic. He said, "This looks personal. I'm not buying it. Just wanted you to know." That day, I realized he wasn't just mad. He was out for blood. So I changed my game plan. I remembered something. When we worked together, Darren used to brag about skimming cleaning supply invoices. He'd order bulk supplies under client accounts, then pocket the extras and resell them on the side. Bleach, floor polish, paper towels, hand soap, stuff adds up fast. So I contacted one of his old clients, an insurance office. I asked if they still had old invoices. They did. Then I reached out to another client, same story. Sure enough, the numbers didn't match. He was billing them for supplies that never arrived. They got angry, told me they'd be taking legal action. I gave them everything. And then, just for fun, I sent a full report of it to the Missouri Attorney General's office for fraud. One night, around 11 p.m., I got a message from someone I didn't expect. Darren's ex-girlfriend, Kendra. We'd met a few times back when they were together. She was quiet, didn't say much around family. But in the message, she said, "I heard what happened. I'm sorry. I should have warned you. He's done worse." I asked what she meant. She said he used to claim fake losses on his taxes. He even used her name on a false employee form once when they were together. She found out after they broke up and it almost ruined her credit. I asked if she'd be willing to give a statement. She said yes. I couldn't believe it. She gave me everything. Copies of texts, photos of his QuickBooks files from his old laptop, even a handwritten note where he joked about cooking the books to keep the IRS asleep. With her permission, I handed it all over to the IRS. He tried suing me for defamation. Sent a cease and desist letter to my mom's house. Claimed I ruined his reputation, interfered with his contracts, and caused emotional distress. His lawyer was some low-rent guy who probably owed Darren a favor. But I had everything saved. Screenshots, emails, messages, voice memos. I had proof he underpaid, broke the law, lied to clients, and retaliated. I hired my own lawyer. Paid with the savings from my new job. My lawyer sent back a simple letter. Our client welcomes the opportunity to present all gathered evidence in court, including illegal business practices, labor violations, and fraud against both clients and government agencies. We never heard back. By now, I thought I had Darren backed into a corner. His business was falling apart. His reputation was garbage. He couldn't sue me without exposing himself. But just when I thought it was over, I found out something that hit deeper than I ever expected. Came from Luis again. He messaged me one night and said, "Hey, just wanted you to know. Darren's talking to your brother. Says he's starting something new. Offered him a job." At first, I thought it was a joke. My younger brother, Tyler, worked part-time at a warehouse and lived on the other side of town. He and I weren't super close anymore, but we talked now and then. We weren't on bad terms. So I called him. "Are you seriously going to work for Darren?" I asked him straight out. Tyler hesitated. Then said, he said he's starting over. Power washing business. Said he learned from his mistakes. I need the extra money, man. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You know what he did to me. He lied, underpaid, trashed me to the whole family. And now that he's desperate, he's crawling to you. He told me you were the one who tried to ruin him, Tyler said. He said you went nuts after Thanksgiving and turned everyone against him. I was stunned. I realized Darren had already planted his side of the story. Made himself the victim. Made me look like the bitter loser trying to destroy him out of jealousy. I tried to explain. I even offered to show Tyler the emails and reports. He wouldn't look. "Look," he said, "I'm not getting in the middle. I just want to make some extra cash. That's it." I didn't argue. I just said, "Do what you want." But inside, it felt like another knife in the back. If Darren was trying to rebuild, I was going to make sure it never got off the ground. I started tracking everything again, watching for new posts, checking the state business filings. Sure enough, a new LLC popped up, Elite Wash and Restore. Owner, Darren Claymore. I laughed out loud. Same name, same hustle. Just in a new wrapper. I started reaching out to pressure washing forums, Reddit threads, even left a few comments on local community boards. Beware of new company Elite Wash and Restore. Same owner as the cleaning scam. Do your homework. I created another email account and contacted his new equipment supplier. Tipped them off that Darren might be using false credit history, which he had done before. Then I contacted the city again. Let them know the same guy who had just been fined for dumping cleaning chemicals was now starting a pressure washing company that would be using industrial wastewater. They took note. Turns out the IRS wasn't done yet. 6 months after I first reported him, Darren got flagged for a full audit. The kind where they go back years. Luis told me Darren was freaking out. Said he was going through old bank records, shredding paperwork, calling up past clients, begging for help. Kendra's evidence made it worse. She gave the IRS proof he listed her as a full-time employee on one of his returns even though they hadn't spoken in over a year. That alone could trigger fraud charges. He started selling off equipment. The old work van, the floor buffer, his spare generators. I watched it all from the outside. Quietly, calmly, and I waited. A couple weeks later, I got a phone call from my cousin Stephanie, the one who used to joke that I was Darren's assistant. She was crying. I didn't know, she said. I didn't know he talked about you like that. I didn't know how bad it got. I was confused. What are you talking about? She told me Darren had been staying with their parents for the past few weeks. Broke, unemployed, paranoid. He barely left the house. He kept saying someone ruined his life. He blamed everyone, me, Luis, Kendra, the government. Then he started drinking again. One night, he got wasted and tried to fight Uncle Ray in the front yard. Screamed about how everyone turned against him, and nobody appreciated his work. Cops got called. No charges, but Stephanie said that was the final straw. The family cut him off. No more invites. No more support. No more sympathy. And for the first time since I moved back to Springfield, people started looking at me differently. They saw I wasn't bitter. I was right. About 8 months after I quit Darren's company, the whole thing came crashing down. He couldn't stop it. He tried. But I made sure every dirty trick he'd pulled was exposed, documented, and sent to the right people. And just when he thought he could start over, I made sure that door slammed shut in his face too. It started with letters, then calls, then a knock at his door. He had years of unpaid payroll taxes, falsified deductions, claims for non-existent employees, unreported income. The worst part? He couldn't explain any of it, because none of it had ever been legal. They froze his accounts. They seized what little equipment he had left. They slapped him with over $84,000 in back taxes, fines, and penalties. And because he used Kendra's name and social without her permission, she filed charges for fraud and identity misuse. The IRS took that seriously. There were talks of federal charges. That part's still in process, but it's looking ugly. The Missouri Department of Labor found that Darren owed over $30,000 in unpaid wages and penalties to former workers, including Luis and 2 others I helped connect with legal aid. Turns out I wasn't the only one he lied to. One guy, Tommy, said Darren made him work 60 hours a week for 2 months and only paid him in gas money and fast food. The labor board ordered Darren to pay them all, or lose any chance at operating a business in Missouri ever again. He couldn't pay, so they revoked his license. Remember how Darren dumped chemicals in parking lot drains? The city of Springfield hit him with environmental violation fines. When they investigated, they found multiple businesses where toxic runoff had been reported and traced it right back to him. Between cleanup costs and civil penalties, he was now looking at another $40,000 he didn't have. His pressure washing company never got off the ground. The moment he filed the LLC, I sent every detail to the state. He failed inspection, didn't get a license, couldn't even get insurance. Elite Shine Pro was dead. Elite Wash and Restore never got born. After the front yard meltdown, nobody wanted anything to do with Darren anymore. My uncle banned him from the house. Stephanie and my other cousins stopped replying to his texts. Even my mom, who once told me to let it go, admitted. I didn't realize how deep his lies went. I thought you were just mad. I didn't know he was that cruel. He started couch surfing, living out of the back of a car for a while, selling tools for gas money. Rumor was he even applied for food stamps. At one point, he showed up at a local church asking for help. One of the volunteers recognized him and said, "Weren't you the guy with the cleaning business who got shut down for scamming people?" Darren walked out red-faced and didn't come back. Tyler never did end up working with Darren. After I showed him the court documents and IRS reports, he finally saw the truth. We met for coffee a few months later. He apologized, said he didn't want to believe our own cousin could be that shady. I told him, "I don't blame you. That's how Darren works. He talks like a hero until you find out he's the reason you're drowning." Tyler ended up moving to Kansas City to start a new job. We're still in touch. We don't talk about Darren much anymore. There's no need. It was at a gas station just off I-44. I was filling up my car. He was sitting on the curb by the air pump looking thin and worn out. His clothes were dirty, hair longer, eyes sunken. He saw me and looked away. I didn't say anything. He didn't either. I finished pumping my gas, got back in my car, and drove off. But before I left, I saw him reach into a trash can for an empty bottle. I didn't feel good about it, but I didn't feel bad either, because I remembered what he said, in front of our whole family. "You're lucky I even let you mop my floors." He's lucky anyone remembers his name. Me? I got a new job, a real one, regular hours, good pay. Boss treats me with respect. I live in a small apartment with my own furniture, my own dishes, and my own peace. I don't mop floors for liars anymore. And I don't forget the people who tried to bury me when I was already on my knees. Because when you mess with someone who has nothing left to lose, you better make damn sure they stay down. Darren didn't. Now he knows.